Hey folks, Dust here, and it's time to do the Legend Stage pick'em for the StarLadder Berlin Major to follow in suit with what I did with the Challenger Stage and just kind of tradition around here on the channel to do these pick'ems during the Majors. First, we're going to take a quick look at how I did during the Challenger Stage. As you can see, yeah, I really shit the bed on those top two picks. They're kind of gimmicky picks anyway, if we're honest, but certainly Vitality did not get even close to 3-0ing. In fact, they really limped their way in after getting upset by Dream Eaters and Simon. And, you know, kind of had even dropped the map against Greyhound there, so I was a little bit concerned in that that last final best of three for a spot in the Legend Stage, but they did manage to get it done, but obviously I had in the 3-0 slot, not down below, so didn't get any credit for that. And then Dream Eaters did far from going 0-3. They actually advanced over to the Legend Stage with upset victories over Energy and Vitality in the best of ones. And then, you know, they wound up beating Forza in the kind of deciding best of three, I guess you could say, to make it on through. Now, Mousesports, Energy, and G2 all did very well. You know, Mousesports going 3-0, G2 and Energy going 3-1. So, pretty good sweep there on those three teams down there below. Obviously, I missed on Furia, as I think many people did. They massively underperformed this major. They won their opening game against Hellraisers, then really shit the bed from that point forward, including losing 0-2 to Simon whenever they got to the best of three elimination match. So, that was really, really disappointing. Crazy also did really well, just like their counterparts over there at Mousesports, Energy, and G2 on the other side. They went 3-1. Their only loss was to North, so did really good. And then Avangard limped in. That was like the team I needed right at the end, right? Because I had four, you know, pretty early on, thanks to how well Crazy, Energy, G2, and Mousesports played. You know, so I was pretty comfortable with those four right away. I mean, hell, I lost the 3-0 and 0-3 on the first fucking game of the day, so that was already fucking just gone. So, yeah, I was really needing Force or Avangard to show up for me, and Avangard did wind up getting in on that final best of three against Simon. And so that's basically how things went for me on the Challenger Stage. Obviously, most of the teams you would think would make it through did make it through. The only shocker was Dream Eaters making it instead of maybe someone like Furia. That's probably really the only real disappointing thing, I guess you could say, as far as like what was expected. So that's where it went. And so now we'll move on and actually start talking about the Legend Stage pick'em. So I already have some picks here because I'm already really, really confident in some of these picks. And then I'm going to kind of be making some final decisions with you all on this video as I kind of decide these last four teams I want to put on the advancement side. So starting with 3-0, I'm going to pick Team Liquid. Again, I know it's always risky putting a team at 3-0 you know as a shoo-in to make it to the next stage, because if they just happen to drop one best of one or something like that and they go 3-1, then you get zero credit for them. But, I mean, if there was ever a team to pick to go 3-0, if there was ever a team that you were going to be confident in that's going to win all the games, and instead of just taking a gamble on a hot team, it's got to be Team Liquid. I mean, this team has been just absolutely nasty in everything that we've seen recently from them. They've played 11 LAN events. They made the finals 10 times. They've won 7 titles, including the last 5 in a row, winning that Intel Grand Slam in just 63 days. So they've placed second place or better in 10 out of 11 events. That's just ridiculous. They win 89% of their best of 3 or best of 5 series that they play. They have won 78% of the maps they've played offline. They've only had 7 games out of like 121 where they've been denied double digits. They have a head-to-head advantage over everyone in the scene right now as far as series advantage goes. They have a sick map pool. They have an incredible amount of talent and versatility with all their players. And it's worth noting that they have 3-0'd the last 3 group stages they've played in. So in the last major, IM Katowice, they did 3-0 the Legends group stage. And then at the Face It Major, they did 3 other challengers in Legend stage there as well. Though, of course, at the Face It Major, there was not best of 3 decider elimination games. It was all best of ones. But still, they've already proven that they can 3-0. They've done everything you could really expect them to as far as winning titles and getting big finishes and having their players perform and, you know, putting together a map pool, all that good stuff. I could sing praises for Liquid all day long. So I'll just leave it at that. They're my 3-0 team. It seems pretty clear to me they're a favorite to do that. Obviously, they should definitely advance, and so if I wanted to be really safe, I'd put them down below and gamble on like an Astralis or something like that in the 3-0 column, but I'm just going to go with Liquid. Even if they don't 3-0, whatever, I think I'll still be able to get 5 teams down below to get my 5 correct that I need to get past this stage. And as far as Dream Eaters being 0-3, I mean, I just don't know who the hell else I'm supposed to put there, right? Like, the only teams I could think of that I would put in this 0-3 column besides Dream Eaters would basically just have to be like maybe Made in Brazil because their roster situation with Zeus coming in for Cold. Nip obviously is playing with like a weird amount because Plopsky's not in. They have Golden standing in. So those two teams are certainly 0-3 candidates, but they play each other in the opening game. I think either team can lose that between Made in Brazil and NIP. So I'm not confident picking either of those two teams for 0-3 because I think either of them can lose that matchup, right? And then outside of that, the only other team I can think of that you would pick to go 0-3 besides Dream Eaters is maybe Avangar and maybe Renegades. Like, I don't see how you can bank on anyone else going 0-3. And even Avangar, I think, still can limp in on a map. Yeah, I'm going to go with Dream Eaters. I'm not buying it. You know, I'm not going to be Vince and do some crazy boot bet that they're going to not make the playoffs, but I'm pretty confident that they're not going to make the playoffs. So I'm just going to put them 0-3 because, again, it's a head scratcher for me who else I'm supposed to put there. Now, as far as teams I've already picked to advance that you see on your screen, I'm going to go with Astralis. I kind of just vaguely went left to right, except for the Mousesports pick, so it's not like I think they're the next team in line after Liquid to make it through, but I certainly think they will. Sure, they have fallen off a lot. They haven't had any big event finishes since actually winning Blast Sao Paulo back in March. That's like 5 months ago. They had like a really good tournament finish. And then before that, if you want to talk like a big finish at a really big tournament, it would be the last major in February at IM Katowice where they won. You know, they had an embarrassing group stage exit from ECS, losing to Furia, a team they would normally never lose to, seeing as Liquid's like the only team that really gave them trouble at the beginning of the year at that I by Power Masters event. But other than that, Astralis was usually head-to-head doing really well against anyone. I mean, you'd have like FaZe, maybe a couple other teams that could give them trouble head-to-head, even Navi at times, but normally they were never losing anyone outside the top 5, you know, put it that way. But then they lost the games to the Fury at ECS, which was pretty crazy. They lost to Energy at EPL Season 9. You know, they looked okay at Cologne despite the loss of Vitality in the semifinals, but still nothing amazing. Glaze form has kind of come to a halt. It's still not bad for IGL standards, but certainly dropped off from where it was. Zipix did have a dip, but was really much better at Cologne. So some of the player form has been shaky at times. Their map pool is still there, but certainly some of their streaks have fallen off, and like their overall form has slipped kind of across several different maps, though you would think that their overall map fluency is still really, really good. And I guess my point is, and why I'm putting them here, is I can't feel like they've fallen so far yet that they missed the playoffs of a major. I think that they've had some time off to hopefully kind of get their heads right, you know, put some time in, maybe come up with some new stuff. They've been able to be creative and innovative in the past, so maybe they've been able to cook up something during this off time. They certainly still have enough talent, a big enough map pool, and a good enough pedigree to at least make top 8. So I had to put them in down there below. The next team I put down there was Mousesports, and this is because they looked really, really sharp in the Challenger stage. They actually had one of the stronger schedules as far as like the quality of teams that they had to play against in Challenger stage. I mean, they won against Fours and Avangar in best of ones, which was pretty strong considering that was probably two of the better teams from the CIS that were in there. And, you know, obviously Fours didn't make it, but they looked really strong at the minor and some online play. So those were good wins, and then they beat G2. So pretty good run there. They, again, I think compared to some other teams that advanced, they had one of the, I guess, harder schedules, even though there wasn't like that many crazy good teams in this stage, to be fair. Rots, Frozen, and Voxic all played on the pace you would hope to. They all played incredibly strong. They looked exactly where you'd want them to be, which is a really good sign. And so despite the fact they had a slow start at the minor, and you know, they weren't convincing there despite winning it, they look good in the Challenger stage. They've had some pretty solid results throughout the year, even though they haven't played that many LANs together. I mean, outside the losses to Navi at Cologne, they've looked pretty good overall so far since this lineup came together. Their map pool is wide enough in a stage like this, and they have a lot of talent and Kerrigan's a capable leader. So I think they're definitely going to go ahead and make it on through. Now, Navi's kind of a weird one because we've only seen them play one event since Boomich joined the team, and that was Cologne, and they haven't even played any online games. What's even crazier is if you think about it, Navi has only attended 3 big LANs this entire year, man, going into this major. So for essentially 9 months, they've played 3 big events, and that was the last major, obviously, IM Katowice, StarLadder Season 7, and like one other event that escapes me right now. And they played a couple of blasts. They were at the EPL group stage but lost out, didn't make the finals of that. So, yeah, we haven't really seen them a whole hell of a lot, man. Now, at Cologne, they did play really well, which I guess is the other event besides the major in StarLadder Season 7 I was talking about that I couldn't think of a second ago because, yep, that was a brain fart, but we're back. They took a top 4 there, only being knocked out by Team Liquid. They had some wins over at NIP, Mousesports, and Furia, and even their games against Team Liquid were decent. They took a map off of them in the first series they played in the groups and then had like a 2 overtime loss included in that. And then, their 2 losses in the semifinals were 16-12. So, and they looked in pretty good shape with Boomich, to be honest. And prior to that, I mean, they were a consistent top 5 team in the world, winning StarLadder, top 4 at the last major. Again, it's just the issue that they haven't been around very much, right? I mean, they've almost been assigned as Astralis as far as skipping events goes. I just think Simple Electronic are way too good to be denied, and I saw enough good stuff at Cologne. I think they can make it past this point. So went ahead and put Navi in. Now, though, we're going to start taking a look at some of the other teams up top there to discuss, who I'm moving into these 4 slots. So ENCE is a team that you have to consider just because they are still a solid top 5 team in the world. They're obviously dealing with the whole situation with Alexa leaving the team, so you have to kind of factor that in. Who is leading for the team going into this? Is Alexa still going to call and everything goes as normal for ENCE? They just treat this like any other tournament? Or is Alu going to take over calling for this major since Alexa is on his way out? So you have to kind of consider how that is going to cause things to happen. Is this going to make Alexa play worse because he's about to get cut and he feels bad? Is he going to play better because there's no pressure? There is kind of that effect sometimes on teams and players when they know that the team's dead, that you just kind of get this new energy because all the pressure's off and all that good stuff, and it winds up having a positive impact rather than a negative one. I mean, this team just can't really be denied that outside of the group stage exit at Cologne, they've been really strong all year long. Second only to Team Liquid at Chicago and Dallas. So 2 finals appearances, only losing to Liquid, beating some really good teams along the way. Won that Blast Madrid event against Astralis. Have a really deep map pool. They've slipped on a few maps, particularly Dust 2 and Inferno. Mirage even is a 3-game losing streak for them right now. So their map pool has slipped in some areas, but still okay. Alu and Sergey usually have been super strong for this team, other than when they play against Team Liquid. Like against any other team, those 2 players play really, really well. Ariel and Alexa are capable of fragging pretty well. X7 kind of got nerfed alongside the AUG, to be honest, but I think there's enough talent here. They have a nice, steady, stable style that's hard to counter because they're just very default. They have some star power in Alu and Sergey. They have some decent players. I think they're certainly a candidate, but I am a little bit questioning the whole Alexa situation, the in-game leader situation because of it. How they're feeling, how much time they actually put in, knowing that this team's dead and they're about to make a change after the major. The fact that they got announced before the major was kind of weird too, but maybe they felt pressure too because the reports were already out. I don't know. I'm not sure how to feel about them. So I'm not going to put them in just yet. G2 is another team that you have to consider here. They were 3-1 in the Challenger stage. Their only loss was to Mousesports in a best of 3. To be fair, they didn't have like any really big wins. Like they beat Tyloo and Dream Eaters, and they had a best of 3 over 4s. So, I mean, they didn't have a crazy strength of schedule, but they still 3-1, and their only loss was to Mousesports, so not bad. Shox looks on fire so far this tournament. Kinias had some off games, but overall okay, and everyone else is doing fine. Obviously, they were coming off a really rough I Am Chicago performance when they came into this major, where they got grouped by Made in Brazil, which is pretty rough. But they've had some other good results, like, second place at the EPL Finals, top 6 at Dallas. Disappointing tours, though. To be fair, that DreamHack Open event and Tour France on a home soil was pretty disappointing. But, I like them. I like the way Shox is playing so far. I think Kenny S, you expect him to do well going forward. I think they look better now with Amanek on the team, helping with the leadership, and they have the roles more established, and their defaults are better. So I kind of like them overall, but I'm not going to put them in just yet. You know who I am going to go ahead and just put in right now, though? I think I'm going to go ahead and put in Energy. I actually feel pretty confident about this pick, and this is because they 3-1 in the Challenger stage. Granted, their only big win was over Avangar, because their other wins were against Simon and Tyloo. They lost to Dream Eaters in the opening best of 1, and even Avangar isn't like a crazy victory, but I mean, they're a decent team, so that was an okay victory to get. I think the big thing for me is Ethan looked so sharp coming in right now. I mean, he was looking a little bit rough heading into this major, but he performed big time in the Challenger stage. Topped the stats in almost every category in Challenger stage, including rating and KD and stuff like that. Cirque was like right behind him, played really well. Tarek also looked some of the best he's looked since he's been on Energy. Breeze and all were fine. So I think it's huge that these players were looking in better shape, though again it's against lesser competition. And look, since Stanislaus joined, they have not really had very many results, and that last LA run was really disappointing. But the core of this team has been solid for a really long time. Many top 4 finishes under their belts, and I thought they did at least okay at Cologne, and they won the minor. So I'm liking them to go through. I think the fact that the players are looking in shape, the fact that it seems like they have been able to kind of get themselves together during this break period with Stanislaus and get some prep in, I actually like them to go through. I think I'm going to go ahead and just give them the nod. Next team you have to consider is Vitality. Even though they did limp along in the Challenger stage and they had those ridiculous losses to Simon and Dream Eaters, They have been so strong throughout the rest of this year at the top 4 finishes they've had all across the board. The second at Cologne, the win at Summit and ECS. Again, really only just playing second to Team Liquid most of the time. They've been consistently be able to beat many of the other top teams. IWU's a stud. They have a decent map pool. NBK is having a hell of a major so far. He played really, really well in the Challenger stage. Rest are not where they need to be. Like, they need to step up. It can't just be Zywoo and NBK. Like, one of Alex and Apex needs to figure it out to give them, like, enough to have a deep run. But I think that, despite the fact that they had their struggles, it's hard for, like, am I supposed to just take the recency bias of the Challenger stage and throw everything else away Vitality's been building up on the last few months? You know, like, it's hard for me to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and take Vitality to make it through. Then there's essentially 3 other teams, in my opinion, alongside ENCE and G2, which I've skipped, that can fight for these last 2 spots. So basically, there's 5 teams that can fight for these 2 spots. One is Crazy. I think Crazy actually decent enough in the Challenger stage. The only loss was a close place through the North. They had some wins over Greyhound and Furia. Furia actually being a decent win to get. And then they had a 2-1 against Dream Eaters that wasn't as convincing as you'd hope, but it was still good. Nexa and Hunter have played really, really well. Otto is playing exceptionally also, having one of his better lands since he's been on this team. So the form's there. They got the wins. They were really good at the minor. Yeah, they had a disappointing DreamHack summer and like kind of an only okay DreamHack tour. So the couple of open events they played for DreamHack leading into the minor weren't like exceptional. But they had a decent run at the last minor as well for Katowice. And I just feel like they have a lot of talent actually there. So I think Crazy, you have to consider them. North, you have to consider them. I mean, despite the fact that they had a really rough ride at like EPL and the minor, to be honest. Like, I mean, they made it through obviously through the play-in, but they didn't look that great in the minor, and they didn't look that great at EPL. Their 2 most recent events before they headed into the Challenger stage, they looked hella good in the Challenger stage. They 3-0'd. Granted, their schedule was really weak. You know, they played against INTZ and Simon, were their best of ones, thanks to the upset Simon got over Vitality. And then they had like a close 2-1 best of 3 against Crazy. The one good thing going for North is Kirby seems back. I mean, he's had a ridiculous rating and KD ratio and stuff like that in the Challenger stage. Again, against the weak schedule, though. Ace's been playing pretty well also. Valda and Gade are doing fine. Yugi's been okay overall, but had a rough one against Simon and still not having any star-level games. Obviously, they haven't been together that long with Valda as an in-game leader and Yugi on the team. But, yeah, I mean, I guess if you like what you saw on the Challenger stage, you could certainly give North a nod here, perhaps. And then the last one is FaZe, right? They haven't played that much with Neo, in all honesty. So hard to put too much of a finger on it. They had a decent run at Blast LA with the wins over Energy and a decent series against Team Liquid. Rough ride, though, at Cologne, in my opinion. Didn't do much at DPL finals either. They did have that top 4 finish at Dallas, though, which is pretty solid, though they didn't like really get any big wins. They just beat Wendigo and NIP, and then they got a map off of Team Liquid and beat G2 and had a close loss to ENCE. So overall, their Dallas performance wasn't bad. Their Blast LA performance wasn't bad, but they didn't look that great at Cologne or DPL, and we haven't seen them that much with Neo. They definitely have talent that seemingly can pop off at any time, so you always have to consider them. But it's hard for me to pick them here. These last 2 slots are so hard, man. Like, I want to put ENCE in just because I've loved what they've done leading up to this major. But I just wonder about the Alexa B thing. But also, again, teams will play without any pressure. They know they're going to make a change, and so they can actually play better. You never know what the psychological impact's going to be. Like, again, it could be the no pressure and you play better. You just go out there and frag hard. Or it could be, you know, where people are feeling down or are not caring or not putting in the effort. I mean, I find it hard to believe you wouldn't put in the effort for a major. It is a major after all. And I'm sure Alexa B is still wanting to do his best because he's kind of put himself on the showroom floor, right? Like, he wants to get another team, I imagine. So playing really well at this major is going to increase your stock. So motivation probably isn't an issue. Psychologically, it could be, but again, the no pressure factor. Oof. Man, this is getting hard. I really feel like I want to put ENCE, but I don't know. I'll say this. I'm not going to pick FaZe. I'll say that. So they're already out. So for me, it's between basically ENCE, G2, North, and Crazy. I'll take ENCE, the no pressure run. I don't think I'm going to pick North. It's between Crazy and G2 for me. And I think I'll take G2. But I think you could very easily put Crazy or North here. I think I'm gonna get burned somewhere. Someone's not gonna show up, and either a Crazy or North's gonna make it through. Maybe both of them make it through. I mean, FaZe could theoretically make it because they just have so much talent. If it does pop off, they can always be dangerous. But I definitely don't rate Made in Brazil. I don't rate Renegades. I don't rate NIP. So I know I don't want any. I know none of those teams are gonna make it. And so this is what I'm gonna leave it with. There you have it. There's my pick 'em. Hope you folks enjoyed the video. If you did, please follow, subscribe for more content. Catch you in a Majors Club, all that good stuff. Peace.